Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be a summary of 1 Kings chapter 22, verses 1 through 53. Now 3 years had passed, and there was not war between Syria and Israel. Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, had came to the king of Israel. And the king of Israel said, "We have not defeated Ramoth, and we should go down and take it out of the hands of the king of Syria." And Ahab asked Jehoshaphat, "Will you go down to war with me?" And Jehoshaphat told him, "I am as you are. My people are your people, and my horses are your horses. Let us inquire of the Lord what we should do." So Ahab had called all of his prophets together and said, "Should we go down and fight against Ramoth or not?" And his prophets began to prophesy, and there was about 400 of them. And they said, "Yes, go down and fight, and the Lord will deliver them into your hands." And Jehoshaphat said, "Is there not a prophet of the Lord that we could inquire of him?" And King Ahab had said, "Yes, there is, but I hate him because he never gives me prophecies that are good for me. They're always evil." And Jehoshaphat said, "Do not say that. Send for him and let's see what he will say." So King Ahab had sent his officers to go find Micaiah, and the king of Judah and the king of Israel began to put on their robes, and then they sat on their thrones for the prophets to come and prophesy of whether they should go down and fight against Ramoth or not. And one of them said, "Go down and pursue Syria, and you will consume them." Another one said, "The Lord will be with you, and he will deliver them into your hands." And the messenger that had went to get Micaiah said, "All of the words of the prophets have declared good for the king and has been as one voice. You need to make your words the same as ours." Micaiah said, "I will speak the words of the Lord, and that is the only thing that will come out of my mouth." Micaiah came in before the kings, and they asked him, "Should we go down and fight against Ramoth or not?" And Micaiah answered and said, "Go and prosper, and the Lord will deliver them into your hands." And the king said, "How many times should I tell you to only tell me the truth from the Lord?" And Micaiah said, "I saw Israel scattered among the hills. They were like sheep without a shepherd. And the Lord said, there was not a master, and they were to go, every man back to his house in peace." Now King Ahab had said, "Did I not tell you that he would prophesy evil against me?" And Micaiah continued on and said, "I've heard the words of the Lord, and I saw the Lord sitting on his throne with all of heaven standing beside him on the right and on the left. And the Lord said, who will go and persuade Ahab that he may fall in the battle of Ramoth?" And one of them said this, and another said that. And then came a spirit and said, "I will persuade him. I will put a lion spirit in the mouths of all his prophets, and they will persuade him, and they will prevail. The Lord has put a lion spirit into the mouths of the prophets, and the Lord has spoken evil concerning you." And one of the prophets hit Micaiah in the cheek and said, "Which way did the Spirit of the Lord speak to you?" Micaiah said, "You will see this day when you go out into the inner chambers and you hide yourself." And the king of Israel said, "Take Micaiah and put him into prison and feed him the bread of affliction." and let him stay there until I come back in peace. And Micaiah said, if you return in peace, the Lord has not spoken through me. And then it was, hearken, O people, every one of you. And both of the king of Israel and the king of Judah went up against Ramoth. Now, the king of Israel had told the king of Judah to put on his robe, and he would disguise himself as one of the soldiers going into battle. Now, the king of Syria had told his 32 captains, do not pursue great or small, only go after the king of Israel. And so when the captains saw the chariot that had the king of Israel in it, they began to pursue after it. And Jehoshaphat began to yell and say, cry out among them. Now, once the captains of Syria had realized that it was not the king of Israel, but it was Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, they stopped pursuing after him and turned back. Now, there was a man that had drawn his bow and hit the king of Israel in the joints of the harness. And then therefore Ahab, the king of Israel, had his chariot to drive him out of the city and out of the battle, for he was wounded very badly. Now, the battle increased throughout the day, and the king stayed in the chariot, and he died that evening. And then before the sun had went down, it was proclaimed that every man should go back to his city and every man back to his country. Now Ahab was brought back and buried in Samaria. And as the chariot was being washed out, the dogs licked up the puddles of blood. And this was according to the word of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of King Ahab are written down in the books of the Chronicles of the king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 when he began to reign over Judah, and he reigned for 25 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the ways of his father, and he did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord. But he did not remove all of the high places, so they still offered incense in these high places. Jehoshaphat did make peace with the king of Israel. And of course, the rest of his acts are written down in the books of the Chronicles of the king of Edom. Now, Jehoshaphat had made ships, and he was wanting to go and pick up golds. But the ship was broken. And then, of course, King Ahab had died, and his son ruled in his place. And he wanted to borrow the ships of Jehoshaphat, and he told him no. Jehoshaphat was buried with his father in the city of David, and then his son reigned in his place. Now, the king of Israel, did evil in the sight of God. He worshiped Baal, and this angered God and provoked him. And he had done all that his father had done before him. May God be with you in everything and every way.